all these leaders. Tariffs. I'm saying you're opposed to tax. All these leaders to tariffs. I'm saying you're opposed to taxes, and tariffs are taxes. Taxes are permanent. Tariffs are a negotiating weapon. Why is every leader of every country in Europe showing up in Washington every week? They want to cut a deal. You don't like the fact that in 9 weeks we'll have a deal? No administration's ever tried to cut 60 deals at once. All you need to do is pen one. Just pen one, whether it's India or EU or Britain, whatever it is, and that becomes the hallmark of all the rest. That's that stack. And then let's settle with China, because that's a different story. And I love the fact that Xi's getting his head squeezed like a teenage pimple right now. I'm good with that.
Yeah, of course. Look, the economy and how people feel about the trajectory of their own personal financial situation in their own lives, it affects every presidency. I mean, the last president lost his party lost the White House largely because people were unhappy about the economy. There's nothing new there. I think what President Trump is doing, though, is asking for a little bit of patience from the American people as he installs a new way to think about how we operate our economy in the United States and how we operate our trade around the world. And he inherited a mess, and it's not going to be fixed overnight. So he's not on the ballot today. And the Republicans also in the Congress have their part to do as well, which is make the tax cuts permanent, codify some of his executive orders into law as it relates to energy and other matters. So there's a lot more work to be done. And I think what the White House believes is once the work is completely done and once you give it a chance to work, things are going to start looking up for people and the numbers will improve. I don't sense a lot of panic at the White House over it right now because the president is so confident in his plan and that it will work for the American people.
Boy. So we got to talk about the propaganda from Wall Street, the liberal media, and the Democrat Party, who are all colluding on behalf of China against President Trump when it comes to his trade war, mainly focused on China, okay? Because they're only telling one side of the story when it comes to what's happening with China. And the reason why is because they want President Trump to back down. They want President Trump to fold to China because they like doing business as usual with China, okay? These people do not have any type of patriotism, any type of national pride. All they care about is their short-term profits, okay? And the tariffs are a threat to their short-term profits. Clearly, they don't have a long-term vision about how important it is that we make certain goods and services, critical goods and services in our country, right? So that we're not completely subject to Chinese manufacturing, okay? If they decide one day they want to declare war on us and then they say, hey, we're not going to send you any of the critical goods and supplies that you need to fight this war. Yeah, they don't really seem to care about the future of this country, right? They don't care at all, right? And a lot of these people also just hate Trump as well, too. Okay, so again, this is why you're seeing a lot of propaganda that makes it look like President Trump is losing the trade war, that China is dominating President Trump, and that the markets are about to collapse. Okay, this is Wall Street playing games, probably along with China as well, too, when it comes to manipulating the 10-year yield in order to make it seem as if the dollar is about to collapse. Except when you actually look at the data in the facts, right? Like, for example, you look at the dollar index, the dollar was actually much weaker during the first half of Biden's administration. But did you hear anything about
the goddamn dollar collapsed around here because these streets look a mess? Understand me? Hey, Reverend Strand, we gonna roll up on Storm Authority where you took them crumbs off the plate. Alright? You was down there advocating, woofing like a motherfucker back in '96 about that trash incinerator. Nigga, they gave you that little position, nigga. I ain't heard nothing else from you, nigga. Been over there at that Storm Authority robbing the peoples, huh? They done got you involved with it, huh? But goddammit, we got does on our team, nigga. I'm letting y'all know that from the rip. We got does on our team. Find out where these funds been going at around this motherfucker.
Joe Biden as they were printing trillions of dollars, which I think is...
And Pam Bondi, don't get it fucked up. We got Pam Bondi on the team too, goddammit. Enough is enough. Motherfuckers was stealing bread like a motherfucker around this joint, man.
A bigger threat, a much bigger threat to the dollar and reserve currency status than tariffs. Okay, no, you didn't hear about that, even though, again, when you look at the long-term history of the strength of the dollar relative to other currencies around the globe, yeah, we're pretty strong, right? Historically speaking, right? Especially again compared to the Biden years, the Obama years, and the Clinton years, right? Where the dollar was weaker, okay, on average. So again, for whatever reason, when Biden was in the White House, Obama was in the White House, Democrats in the White House, all of this concern about the dollar collapsing is non-existent, right? And again, they are trying to make it seem like President Trump is losing the trade war with China, that it is just a one-sided conversation, that China is not feeling any pain, right? Only us, only the United States of America, okay? The tariffs are only hurting us, except China is quietly exempting some goods from U.S. tariffs, right? Which definitely indicates that they're folding, right? China has exempted some U.S. imports from its 125% tariffs and is asking firms to identify critical goods they need levy-free, according to businesses that have been notified, in the clearest sign yet of Beijing's concerns about the trade war's fallout.
Author of the terrific book, Plan Red, China's Project to Destroy America. He's the one and only Gordon Chang. Gordon, the markets ended the week in the green. All of the indices are up. What's your take on what's happening with China now?
China, I think, is a little bit in a panic. What we're seeing is that they're not imposing tariffs on certain categories of American goods. So, for instance, some semiconductors, industrial chemicals, aviation products that they need, but they're not announcing it, which just looks like China is folding because they realize that they need American products that they can't get anywhere else. And also, I think they're probably coming to a realization that they need to take the temperature down. So far, rhetorically, they're saying, well, no, we're not talking to the United States, but I'm sure that they are, because we talk to the Chinese all the time about all sorts of things. And to think that we haven't talked about tariffs during this tariff war just is really strains credulity.
So, Gordon, staying on what you just said, is China backing down? Because, yes, Reuters reporting China has dialed back its 125% retaliatory tariffs on, U.S.-made microchips needed for electronic devices, that China is looking at a list of more than 130 categories of U.S.-made products that could be eligible for exemptions from China's tariffs. And as you said, it's also vaccines, chemicals, and jet engines. So are they backing down?
Well, I think they certainly are backing down, but they're trying to do it in a way that they don't look like they're doing that. And I think part of the reason is that Xi Jinping has configured the Chinese political system so that only the most hostile answers are considered acceptable. And he's been telling the Chinese people for a half decade that China's already surpassed the U.S., so he can't go back to them and say, well, we're talking to the Americans because of pressure. That just doesn't work, because that undermines all of his credibility with the people of China.
Gordon, yeah, so clearly China is making moves in order to de-escalate, and that's the whole point. The whole point is to get China to the table. But again, if you listen to MSNBC, oh, well, this is a disaster for Trump, that this is not going well, and that the world is losing confidence in the United States of America as a safe place to invest. It's almost as if these people would much rather see the economy collapse than for Trump to win. That's what's happening.
As for China, which is subject to a 145% tariff, Trump says, well, now they're negotiating. Watch.
We are going to have a fair deal with China. It's going to be fair.
Are you talking to them actively now?
Actively. Everything's active. Everybody wants to be a part of what we're doing.
The Chinese government says no, not active. Quote, China and the U.S. have not engaged in any consultations or negotiations regarding tariffs, let alone reached an agreement, end quote. Adding that while China is open to talks, quote, if it's a fight, we will fight till the end. Confronted with China pouring cold water on Donald Trump's version of reality, Trump said this.
A question on China. Can you clarify with whom the U.S. is speaking with China? They're saying it's fake news that trade talks are happening.
Well, they had a meeting this morning, so I can't tell you. It doesn't matter who they is.
They just doesn't include China and the U.S., according to China. New York Times reports this, quote, in private, some Trump officials concede that they did not accurately predict China's reaction. Trump seemed to expect China to be among the first to come begging for relief, given the size of its exports to the U.S. Now, though, the cost of all of it, the price we as Americans and as a country are paying for Trump's incompetence and delusions as he stumbles on what was once his political calling card, the economy, is in part our image, our reputation, our history as a safe place to invest in and a reliable player and partner on the world stage. Take a look at the cover of The Economist. Quote, only 1,361 days to go, showing America's national symbol, the bald eagle, battered and injured and bandaged. The top Trump MAGA donor puts it this way: our national brand is at risk. Take a listen to
America
that.
rose beyond just being a country. It was like an aspiration for most of the world. And we're eroding that brand right now.
Yeah, so I want you guys to understand how this works, okay? The liberal media, the Democrats, and Wall Street basically engage in economic treason against the president, right? Because what they do is that they create a narrative that the sky is falling, that Wall Street is so concerned, that everybody's so concerned about what's going to happen, right? And they do that in order to try to create a reality that things are much worse than they are, right? But the real reality is that President Trump is working through the trade deals and the negotiations, and this stuff doesn't happen overnight, right, while at the same time you have China showing signs that they're hurting, right, that they're starting to fold, okay, which is something they don't want to focus on. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, he's posting pictures every single day with foreign leaders about trade discussions, right, and our economic relationship. Right here, this picture, this is the president and vice president of Switzerland. You have the leadership from South Korea in this picture right here. You have leadership from the European Union. You have J.D. Vance in India. Speaking of India, another bombshell story that the mainstream liberal media will refuse to talk about. Apple moving to make most iPhones for US and India rather than China, source says. Yeah, so again, a part of this trade war against China is trying to get companies to move out of China, and some of them may move back to the United States. Others will move to other countries. And you know what? That's still a win, right? You get them out of China. The whole point is to weaken China, okay, and their influence over global trade as a whole, right? And if we can get companies to come back to the U.S. or to go to some other partner countries, right, then that's a win, right? That's a huge W. So this is coming out in response to President Trump's tariffs, right? This is direct response to President Trump's tariffs, right? They're speeding up their plans to navigate the higher tariffs on China. Again, where's the mainstream liberal media on this, right? Again, still rooting for China, right? Rooting for China for whatever reason. Crazy. Again, this is all stuff that's being worked out. This is Japan. You don't hear the positive stuff. What's currently happening right now, which is that a lot of this stuff is being worked out. China's starting to fold, right? You're seeing cracks from China. No, they don't report that on MSNBC. No, the world is falling because, again, Wall Street would much rather go about business as usual for their short-term economic gain, because this is now about long-term. In the long term, they're going to be fine, right? They're going to be fine, but they don't care about that. They much rather engage in economic treason against the president, okay, rather than to be patriotic and to buckle down just for a few weeks to allow maximum leverage for the president to get China to the table, right? That's all it would take. Could you guys imagine?
All right, y'all, we over here at the goddamn the stormwater authorities, where your boy Strand took the crumbs off the plate I was telling y'all about. Remember, he was on the video capping about y'all ain't bringing no more trash up in here. Look at the streets, though. Meanwhile, back at the range, look at the streets. There you go, right here. This is where Strand took his crumbs at, right here, y'all. For the peoples that don't know, the dude that was down there, roughing. Well, they gave him this position here, and now he's taxing the residents on this stormwater authority, which the city of Chester had the equipment to do the work. They had the equipment to do the work. The highway department had all the equipment to do the work that the storm drain is doing, right? And this is where you make your payments at over here. Like I said, highway robbery, y'all, with no gun on the residents of Chester. And what do they get in return? I'm gonna show y'all what they get in return. Just sit here though. This was the old bank. This was the old bank here, y'all. Understand me? But look at the streets. That's what they get in return. Look at the streets. Streets look a fucking mess, look. And like I said, they doing these streets all through the city, but they not repaving the streets. They doing patch jobs. And this right across from the storm drain, right? It's right across from the storm drain. Look at the streets. But like I said, Strand took them crumbs off the plate, turned the other cheek. When you got this position right here, my friend. What happened to all that hoo-ha, this, that, and the third? But now you got your hand in the people's pocket in Chester. Get your hand out of our pocket, goddammit. And we don't get nothing in return for our tax dollars, but a bunch of fucked up ass streets around this motherfucker. We right here on 5th Street, y'all. With a company right across the street. They tried to sell that off. Probably in the makings of selling it off. You understand me? But this is a stronghold in Delaware County. It's Water Company. Delcor across the street. And like I said, this building here, they turned these into like little studio apartments up here. There's people that live in there in those apartments up top. But look at the streets. See how they cutting into the streets? Fucking the streets up. But we gonna revisit all this shit, and I'm gonna show y'all the other streets too. That's fucked up. All right. This the thumbnail. Cool. You understand what I'm saying? And that's how the streets look throughout the city, y'all. Of them tearing the streets up. And the street's gonna eventually buckle if they don't repave the whole street, not doing patch jobs. Ladies and gentlemen, you understand what I'm saying? Now, what phase is this to repave the streets? And we're gonna move right up here. Like I said, they tearing these streets up in Chester, y'all. We just left from down there. We right up here, next corner. Like I said, with the streets. All the way down, putting in new pipes and everything, but they not repaving the whole street. They doing patch jobs. Like they're due from here to there instead of doing the whole street. If you got the street tore up, you might as well finish the whole street, goddammit. You understand me? Coffee shop here. In-town coffee shop. Right here. Pink Calf. Pink Calf here. Y'all know we was there yesterday at City Hall. This the only thing they had gave back to Chester was this Pink Calf. That's it. This the only business they brought back to the Chester. Remember he hoot and hollered about bringing businesses and shit back to Chester? Well, we in town. As y'all can see. It look vacant like a motherfucker around here, y'all. It look vacant like a motherfucker around here. I'm talking about bringing in some motherfucking businesses. You got one business here, right? Which is your boy, Jalil Beat Store here. But like I said, you gotta go to the bank and get a loan to get some bread out of there. As far as Wargo Bank was there, they left. Sonny's Cambridge Diner was here, they left. That little boutique spot, trash. You understand me? Senator John Kane building there. But where's the businesses that this house nigga was talking about bringing back after he was throwing Fad under the bus? But like I said, that was all hogwash. God damn it, because you was on his team. Where the businesses at that you said you was gonna bring to Chester? Where they at? Don't say you brought them businesses down Union. That's a goddamn lie. White folk brought that money down there. That $55 million came from white folk. Nigga, where the money for Chester? That y'all getting $5 million from that goddamn trash incinerator. And where's the money going? That's all we want to know. The peoples want to know. Where's the money going at, goddammit? because the streets look a mess. He lied about some LED lights that was over there near Widener. They had a camera program that the residents was able to go sign up for to get that went out the door. You see what I'm saying? There was a whole bunch of robbing and looting going on around this motherfucker, man. And we over back at the post office, it look a mess on these streets, y'all. We gonna jump out, get the poster, we gonna get this shit here, and then we gonna go on 3rd Street. And I'm gonna show y'all the streets that they fucking up, that they tearing up, y'all. And not repaving the whole goddamn streets. So like I said, where the fucking money at, goddammit? $5 million a year coming in from Cabanas. They ain't including the goddamn soccer stadium and motherfucking the casino and the racetrack. Goddammit, somebody doing some serious robbing up in this motherfucking city. And guess what? They're all of them part of the go along, get along gang. Goddammit, what happened to them cases that them niggas was stealing that money when Fad was in there? Goddammit, look at these streets. These motherfucking streets look a motherfucking mess. You understand me? And as a resident, goddammit, as a taxpayer, goddammit, y'all better have some goddamn receipts when it comes down to y'all repaving these goddamn streets. We just left from up there on the corner. Now we down here on Edgemont Avenue. You understand me? But look at the streets, y'all. Right across from the post office. These motherfuckers getting $5 million just from Cabanas. They ain't including the other building companies they got down there. Kimberly Clark. You got the racetrack down there. Fuck out of here, man. They doing some serious stealing around this motherfucker, man. And ain't nobody holding them accountable, y'all. Cause all of y'all are part of the go along, get along charade. God damn it. Well, I got motherfucking Doge on my team. We got Doge on our team, and we gonna get down to the bottom line of where this money going at, goddammit. Take a motherfucker like me and meet up with King Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago, goddammit. And Elon Musk, goddammit. Just to look into money, where the money going at in Chester and where it's at, where it went at, goddammit. A receipt, goddammit, cause they not gonna share it with us. Like I said, y'all, we the people, they work for us, so we can put the motherfucking pressure on them motherfuckers. And goddammit, you better have receipts of showing us where y'all spending our money at. Goddammit. For y'all pleasure. Fucking look at the two-tone streets, y'all. No work being done around this motherfucker. They letting these companies come in here and tear these motherfucking streets up. Nobody, but I got a couple companies on video that if them streets do buckle and somebody get injured, I know we can go after this company that was working down there on 3rd and what's that, Townsend? Yeah, I recorded all that shit. But these motherfuckers that's tearing up the street, so they say, oh, we're on the company, we can't, they get the fuck out of here. We got receipts, goddammit. These streets is a fucking mess, man. It was a fucking mess, man. Straight up. 2-bedroom apartments. So they about to fix this spot up, I guess. Right here on 3rd and Concord. About to fix that up. That they probably sold for $1 to some one of them heathens around this motherfucker stealing money. And ain't no work being done at our streets. Our streets looking fucked up, y'all. And for y'all just to be quiet about this shit, man. The go along, get along gang is wicked, man. Real, man. Ain't nothing changed. Everything the same when Thad was the mayor, goddammit. Ain't nothing changed. Goddammit. You had plenty of time in that office, goddammit, to make moves. Plenty of time in the office to make moves. You see King President Trump come in signing executive orders. Dismantling this, dismantling that. Nigga, you stood up in this motherfucker, a puppet around this motherfucking nigga. What the fuck is wrong with y'all? No leadership, man. No true leadership around here, man. Everybody just want to come to Chester and take advantage of the little bit of crumbs that's in here. God damn it, fix these streets. They two-tone. They all fucking cracked up. Y'all letting these different businesses and companies come in here and tear our streets up. And then when a flood come, a heavy rainstorm, Anything of that nature come, goddammit, people gonna, basements and shit gonna get flooded out fucking with you niggas, man. Damn.
If President Trump had the mainstream liberal media, the Democrat Party, and Wall Street on his side, could you guys imagine the leverage that President Trump would have? Right? This trade war would be over already, okay? But Xi Jinping, he doesn't have to deal with that. First and foremost, he doesn't have to get reelected, right? I mean, President Trump technically is termed out, but who knows, okay, at this point, what's going to happen with that?
He ain't termed out.
Xi Jinping, he doesn't have to deal with...
He ain't termed out. Stop that, Greg. Hey, Greg, he not termed out yet. Because this motherfucking Democrats running for third terms around this motherfucker. So I know goddamn well the president can run for a third term if these motherfucking mayors around in local districts running for third terms. You mean to tell me the president can't run for a third term? That mean it was some illegal shit going on and we need Pam Bondi to be on the case to find out what's going on. God damn it. Because I got the evidence up. God damn it, the proof in the pudding. I'm not jaw-jacking. So he got another term coming up. Fuck that, Trump 2028. And I don't give a damn who don't like it.
But Xi Jinping, he doesn't have to deal with an opposition party. He doesn't have to deal with the media running propaganda against him. He doesn't have to deal with the financial sector basically manipulating the market to make it look like they're hurting more than they are hurting from the tariffs. He doesn't have to deal with that, right? He gets complete and total compliance from the major institutions in the country. President Trump doesn't get that, right? It's a little bit different in democracy. And this is why, I hate to say this, but it sounds controversial, but it's true, right? In the 21st century, right, in the technological world where things are changing rapidly, right, democracy is proving to be a pretty weak and inefficient form of government. And you're kind of seeing this play out before our eyes right now under Trump's presidency, right? Like, look at what they're doing to stop President Trump from conducting the mass deportations. Now, under Joe Biden, they didn't care how many people came into the country, right? There was no rule of law when it comes to immigration. They didn't give a damn. Now, all of a sudden, they want to try to collude to stop the president from enforcing the law. So, again, this is what you got to deal with in democracies that you don't have to deal with other forms of government, like, again, China. And I'm not saying that that is a preferable form of government. I'm just pointing out the strengths and weaknesses as they relate to this trade war when it comes to the type of governments that you're dealing with, right? So with that being said, despite the liberal media propaganda, okay, from Wall Street, from the Democrat Party, Trump voters are actually smarter than the media thinks, okay? Because Trump voters understand what's going on, and this Never Trump pollster, Frank Luntz, is going to be shocked to learn that the liberal media and Wall Street propaganda is not working on Trump voters. So without further ado, let's get into it.
I need to ask you an issue that no one's brought up and that has crashed your 401ks, most of you, your tariffs. Stock market is way down.
It needed a correction.
Oh, so you support it?
Yes. You bet.
Yep.
How many?
And I have to tell you, my 401k wasn't impacted at all.
How many? First off, how many of you did not lose any money over the crash of the stock market? One individual, two people. So, Serena?
The Biden administration, I lost more money than the Trump administration. By far.
In 2022, they crashed it by 25%. Yeah. For the whole year.
No one's upset over this?
No.
Nope.
No.
Nobody.
There's not a single 4-year period in the history of the stock market where the stock market hasn't appreciated at an average rate of about 7%. It's so, yeah, there's ups and downs and corrections, and sometimes people are foolish and they jump out, buy high, sell low. But if people just get in and stay the course, they'll be just fine.
Facts.
Yeah, and I was about to say, I'm not a day trader. I try not to look at it very often, which is, I think, a good thing. But I also trust that Trump and all of his advisors that are involved with the tariff issue know what they're doing. So I'm just going to hang on. I know it'll correct at some point. Yeah, I'm not really worried about it.
I think how much more are you willing to pay for products and services that come out of China? How much do prices have to go up before you say, this is not that great?
I'd rather not buy from China. I'd rather pay more money and buy American.
Same.
And prices only go up if demand is inelastic and if there's no alternative supplies. And they're doing a brilliant job. They're surrounding China with countries that want to manufacture stuff as well. And we do need to bring the stuff back, the strategic stuff for sure. But China is going to be in the soup if they don't knock it off.
Ding, 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 ding. Shout out to John from Colorado. He's a smart guy, right? John is smart, okay? John, again, is the type of individual that is educated and understands what's going on. In fact, all of these individuals here are pretty smart, in my opinion, because they're not freaking out. They understand that in the long term, the stock market will be fine. Right? People are panicking over short-term fluctuations in the stock market when we have over 100-year history to look back on to suggest that, hey, things are going to be all right, right? In the long term, the stock market will continue to go up. Also, what John was talking about when it comes to this idea that prices are going to rise from tariffs automatically, right? We're going to see this massive inflation, which we have not seen yet, right? We haven't seen it, okay? He brought up demand elasticity, right? Which also is a part of it. In industries where demand is not elastic, right, or demand is inelastic, which means that customers aren't as sensitive to price increases. You may see prices go up because people are going to buy regardless of the price. Okay, they're not that affected. We're talking about like luxury goods and services and stuff like that. Okay, but when you talk about industries where demand is more elastic, which means that consumers are more sensitive to increases in price, you just can't automatically increase prices because of tariffs, right? In some cases, firms are going to have to eat that, right? They're going to have to reduce their margins just due to the fact that a price increase means that their revenue would drop. They would not be maximizing profit from increasing price due to the fact that consumers are very sensitive to price increases, okay? And they can go and seek other substitutes. They will just choose not to buy. Again, this is why the tariffs don't automatically lead to hyperinflation, which is the narrative from these propagandists, okay, and these NPCs like Frank Luntz, who really don't know anything. He's just repeating what he heard some liberal economists on CNN say, or CNN claiming this is what economists are saying, right? He just heard that, he repeats it, and he doesn't really know, right? These people haven't really thought through, okay, what could possibly happen with the tariffs, right? Well, it just depends. During the Great Depression, we actually saw deflation as a result of the tariffs, okay? That's what we saw. In some sectors of the economy, yes, you're going to get price increases. In some sectors, you're not. But in terms of what's going to happen with inflation overall, that's a much more complicated question to answer because the tariffs have different effects on different industries. It just, again, it depends on the industry. It depends on a lot of things. And that is what these people refuse to acknowledge in the mainstream liberal media. They're trying to manufacture a reality in which consumers are okay with paying higher prices because they're being told that you're going to get higher prices no matter what, even if that's not really true. But they're being told that so that companies can justify continue to raise prices, right? Which, again, would be contributing to inflation, right? The most inflationary part about the tariffs is the rhetoric that tariffs are going to cause inflation, not the tariffs themselves, right? And the media knows this. This is why they continue to push this propaganda instead of being honest with the American people and saying, hey, you should buy American, maybe save some money, right? Consider not purchasing some of the things that are increasing in price as a result of the tariffs. If you don't have to purchase it, then don't purchase it, right? Look for substitutes. But see, the media doesn't want to do that because that doesn't help the agenda, right? The agenda is to try to drive inflation in order to bring down President Trump, right? And that's what they're essentially trying to do.
Every article of clothing I have on is probably made in China, Malaysia, or somewhere else. Okay, retailers, give me something made in America. I'd gladly buy it, but it's not there. Go to Walmart. You ain't going to find jack shit pair of socks and underwears made in America.
Made in China.
Yeah, maybe. But, shoes, Nikes, Pumas, they're all overrated. They're probably all made overseas. How many American shoe companies have you seen go kaput? There used to be one 30 miles down the road, made Stride Right, made great shoes. You don't hear from them. China, Malaysia.
We need a correction. We just need a correction. We're willing to take whatever it takes.
Ride it out.
Yeah.
You know, that's the point.
Stay the course.
You know,
Stay the course.
Exactly. It's been a rough 2 weeks, but guess what? We got 3.5 years to worry.
Exactly.
And if it's like this in a year, I'll have another discussion maybe, but I don't think it's going to be.
I'll tell you what.
Ding, 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 ding. I love Trump supporters. And the main reason why is because I like smart people, right? They understand that, it doesn't make sense to try to judge the president on the state of the economy when it's just 3 months into his presidency, right? He's just getting started. You got to give him a chance to fix the issues that Biden created, right? The Democrats created. It's going to take time, okay? Let's have this conversation again a year from now. But until then, you got to ride it out, right? We got to ride it out. Obviously, everybody agrees that China's a problem, but when it comes to actually doing something about it, oh no, they don't want to do anything about it because that means some short-term pain, right? And let's be honest, it's not really that painful as of right now. A lot of the tariffs haven't even kicked in. But again, the media's pretending that, oh my God, the dollar is collapsing. Nobody wants to invest in America. And that's just like the exact opposite of the truth, right? It's simply not true. But these people would much rather undermine this country. They much rather see this country fail than to see President Trump be successful. And that is the sad part about all of this. Again, what we're witnessing here from the media, from the Democrats, from Wall Street, again, I think is economic treason, to be honest with you. That's what it is, right? They're helping China with all this propaganda. That's what they're doing. Okay, instead of helping this country maintain our status as a superpower over China, which is going to be essential for the survival of our country, right? Our culture, our way of life. Nah, we don't care about that. All we care about is our short-term gambling in the stock market, right? That's all they care about. Again, it's fascinating stuff. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.
Man, that's crazy, man. But that's their agenda, y'all, to go against Trump so they can have their agenda. They had this world going against the Most High word with all this fruitcake shit going on and these illegal migrants and these motherfucking LGBT mooks. That's all, y'all.
Casket will have a file cabinet for all these student loans to rest in heavenly peace. That's how much I owe in student loans. How much money I owe in student loans. Now let me provide you with some additional information, since I know that this video is going to go viral because people are cruel and a lot of people are going to be ready to attack me in the comments and judge me and do whatever they got to do to feel good about themselves. I am a proud 25-year-old with over $100,000 in student loan debt. I went to school. I got a free associate degree through the early college program. I then furthered my education and got 2 additional degrees. I have a bachelor's degree in entrepreneurship with a minor in management, and I have a master's degree in organizational leadership. But one thing America doesn't know about me is that I have 1 additional degree that's not on file and it's not in the records anywhere, and that's a law degree. At any given point, I'm prepared to take the stand and explain why I cannot afford to pay a dime on them student loans. Baby, you ain't never seen a sharp, undegreed attorney like me ever in your life. It's my time to shine. They just said that 92% of the people that went to college and racked up all this student loan debt don't and won't have jobs in the degrees that they got the debt in. So why y'all asking us to pay this money back? If you know that, why are we being asked to pay? And then this is the thing that gets me. Before I could even lift my right foot out of the door frame of graduation, my university was already contacting me for a donation. It's because of y'all that I'm a bam donation to the Department of Education. And now they want to garnish our wages. What did you go to school for? Did you graduate with your degree? And are you actively using your degree to make tons of money like they promised you?
No.
Was it worth going to college? Was it worth racking up all this student loan debt? And even if you did go to college, finish your degree, you walked across the stage and you got your pretty degree, have you finished paying back your student loans?
Boy. So we got to continue our coverage of the liberal meltdown over President Trump, saying the jig is up when it comes to these people who do not want to pay back their student loans, who thought that they would not have to pay back their student loans because Biden decided it would be a good idea to try to forgive everybody's student loan debt, even though, okay, the Democrats, Nancy Pelosi, admitted that no, the president can't do that, okay? The power of the purse is with Congress, and the Supreme Court confirmed this, and Biden basically tried to finagle his way into forgiving student loan debt anyways, okay? AKA he was ignoring the court. Now, they're doing this in order to buy votes, okay? This is all Democrats have to offer. The only thing they have to offer people is the magic wand of the government, okay? We're going to give you free stuff. We're going to wipe away your student loan debt. We're giving you free daycare, free health care, free 4-year college. We're raising your minimum wage to $30 an hour, right? These are the type of things that Democrats promise. Now, progressives believe this because a lot of progressives are naive, right? They haven't really experienced the real world. And in the real world, you understand that nothing is free. All of these freebies cost somebody something, right? And when you're taking away from others to give to people who are less productive, probably not a good thing, right? Not a good thing overall for society, okay? Progressives really don't understand this concept for whatever reason, okay? And this is why they get so disappointed when they get a reality check when it comes to the fact that, yes, nothing is free in life, including getting a college education, okay? And that student loan that you took out has to be paid back, okay? And now the black liberals, the black bourgeoisie, mainly liberal black women, really, they are upset, right? They're fuming over the fact that President Trump is making them pay back their student loans. Because remember, this is the most quote-unquote educated group of people in this country, which is a lie, okay? However, they definitely are the most indoctrinated. And because they're the most indoctrinated, they're the most in debt. And they're getting hit really, really, really hard by this.
I really can't believe it's people in the comments of this student loan situation talking about yeah, this is how the world works. You borrow money, you pay it back. Shut your stupid ass up. A fucking school loan ain't the same as an auto loan or a home loan or a personal loan, you damn idiot. Shit. Black people, minorities especially, had to go to school. We ain't left shit. We had to go to school. I had no choice but to go to damn school.
You went to school to find out that
I'm working for my damn self now. I'm making money for other people. And the money gets taxed. This shit is all going back into the hand. It's like a big ass circle, and y'all fail to realize that. Your fucking credit score is made the fuck up. That's a made up shit. Money made the fuck up. This is a system. America is a system. I'm confused at how the hell y'all still don't realize this shit.
So y'all, I made a video about me owing student loans, right? I owe about $150,000 in student loans. I got 2 degrees. I got a bachelor's in biology and I got a master's in secondary education with an endorsement in clinical mental health counseling, right?
Told y'all them degrees don't mean shit. You can wipe your ass with it. That's all it is a piece of paper that make toilet paper.
I'm trolling, right? I made that video last night. I never knew it was so many negative people that would comment on that video. I feel like my video reached the wrong side of TikTok. Like, just laugh. I'm not mad about it. I haven't paid these years in over 4 years. After I graduated in 2021. You think I'm worried about it now?
I just checked my credit score and it dropped significantly. I'm about to reapply to college. There is no fucking way. 114 points because I'm delinquent. And like, I have not been able to pay that. I'm sorry. Y'all need to back off. Okay, I need to go back to get my master's anyway. So let me figure this out. Okay, I have everything that I need in life. We getting back to the manifestations of I already have everything that I need. I don't need to buy nothing else. I don't need nothing else. Why? I already have everything that I need in life. I don't need nothing more. I don't need a new car. The car that I got is nice. Okay, it's Gucci. Where I live, I love where I live. Where I live is fabulous. I don't need to move again. I don't need to move again. I don't need to do that. I have so much money. Money loves me. Money is flowing to me. Money loves me. My credit score is going up as we speak. My credit score is going up. I feel that in my soul. It is going up. It is going up, and I'm going back to school. I'm going back to school, and we're gonna take a break. We're gonna hold off on all of that. Listen, I'm going back anyways.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. Now, I think one response in particular from these people who are panicking over having to pay back their student loans really shows you why we have this student loan crisis in the first place, is because people literally go to school for the dumbest reasons possible, right? You have people who are saying, I'm going to go back to school in response to having to pay on their student loans. Well, I'm guessing they're doing that because I guess while they're in school, they don't have to pay on the loan, right? Because they're in school, so they're not really expected to be working and to be actively paying off the loan while in school. So what they do is that they go and they take out more debt in response to having to pay off their debt or to pay down their debt. They go and take out more debt to avoid paying the debt, not thinking about the fact that, hey, you're taking on more debt. And if you're taking on this debt simply to go back to school, that means that you're not going to school thinking about your ability to pay off your debt in the first place. Because had you went to school and had a plan to pay off your debt, right? If you thought about, okay, let me get this degree, what I want to do with this degree, this is the type of job I'm gonna get, this is how much the job pays, and this is how much money I should borrow to go to school if this is what I want to do, and this is how much I think I'm gonna get paid. If you had done all of that before going to school, then you wouldn't be in this situation. You wouldn't feel pressure to go back to school to avoid paying on student debt. But you're gonna go back to school not knowing why you're actually going back to school outside of not wanting to pay off the debt. You're going to get a degree in something that's not going to allow you to pay off the debt that you already had, plus your newly acquired debt, because you decided to go into more debt to avoid paying the debt. Yeah, that is exactly how these people end up in these debt cycles, right? That is the perverse incentive here, okay? You have incentivized a lot of people, especially women, to be career students, right? That is their job. Their job is literally to go to school, right? And they just rack up ridiculous amounts of debt, just getting degree after degree after degree. And they don't think about, okay, how much money am I going to make if I go and get this degree? What do I need to do in order to get the job that I want? Like, they don't actually really solve the puzzle, okay, before deciding to jump into all this debt. And then they just turn around and get in more debt to avoid paying off the debt that they have accumulated. Again, it's very, very, very messed up system, okay? And this is why we should end it. This is why the federal student loan program should be ended. It has been abused, okay? The government needs to get out of the business of student loans. And I promise you, if the government gets out of the business of student loans, you will see the cost of college drop dramatically, right? Because the money printer, okay, the free money, the jig is up, right? People are going to realize, okay, it's not worth going to school if I can't get these low interest federal loans to go. It's just not worth me going, right? And then these schools will be forced to cut the fat, right? To cut some of these administrative costs that have contributed to the cost of college going up, because the degrees are not getting more valuable, okay? In fact, the degrees are getting less valuable. They're churning out more degrees, which means, again, by definition, they're less valuable, okay? So, I think that's what needs to happen, okay? That's the real solution here. And ultimately, at the end of the day, people have to pay back the money that they borrow, right? It was not free. And now you have people like Roland Martin. He is now rubbing it in the face of people saying, well, I told you so. I told you so that the Trump administration would make you pay what you owe.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but if you're thinking of getting your bathroom remodeled, don't do it. My mom's outdated bathroom needed to be remodeled.
Remember all those folks whining and complaining, saying that, oh, Joe Biden, he didn't do enough to end student debt relief, even though he tried to get rid of all student loan debt relief with the U.S. Supreme Court. U.S. Supreme Court said no, and then he turned around, and then they figured out within the rules how they could wipe out more than 150, upwards of $200 billion in student loan debt. And then people were still bitching and moaning about how they wanted him to wipe out student loan debt relief when it was already clear that didn't happen. So maybe if a bunch of those same people had voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016, then that would have happened, because then she would have appointed 3 Supreme Court justices. But that's another story. So what then happens? Folks sit on their asses, they don't vote, or some vote for MAGA, and guess what we now get? This from the clueless press secretary Carolyn Leavitt about student loans.
The Trump administration has announced we will put an end to Joe Biden's illegal student loan bailout attempts. No student loan has been referred to collections since March of 2020. That comes to an end. On May 5th, the Department of Education will resume involuntary collections for borrowers with defaulted federal student loans. The student loan portfolio controlled by the federal government is nearly $1.6 trillion. But fewer than 4 out of 10 borrowers are in repayment. This is unsustainable, unfair, and a huge liability for American taxpayers. Debt cannot be wiped away. It just ends up getting transferred to others. So why should Americans who didn't go to college or went to college and responsibly paid back their loans pay for the student loans of other Americans? The Trump administration will never force taxpayers to pay student loan debts that don't belong to them. Student loan borrowers need clarity, and we're finally giving it to them. Borrowers will now be clearly expected to repay their loans, and those who default on their loan obligations will face involuntary collections. The government can and will collect defaulted federal student loan debt by withholding money from borrowers, tax refunds, federal pensions, and even their wages. America is $36 trillion in debt. We must get our fiscal house in order and restore common sense to our country. If you take out a loan, you have to pay it back. It's very simple.
Really? Okay. Gotcha. Tell that when taxpayers Trump used $25 billion to give to farmers in last time because of his dumb tariff decision. Roxanne Garza, Director of Policy at Ed Trust, joins us now from Washington, D.C. Roxanne, glad to have you here. Elections have consequences. You know, a lot of people complaining about Biden, didn't do enough. He was catching hell from all sorts of people, and they just ignored the almost $200 billion in student loan debt relief that actually took place. Well, guess what? Now people are realizing that Trump don't give a damn, and they're now going to have to deal with the possibility of their wages being garnished.
Yeah, so for whatever reason, Roland Martin thinks that it is an I told you so, that people have to pay what they owe, right? You have to pay back on a loan that you borrowed, right? Like you borrowed that from taxpayers, okay? You borrowed that from people who did not go to college, right? Or who did pay off their loans, who did the things that they were supposed to do, okay? They think that for whatever reason that it is fair and just to forgive loans of people who decided to make bad financial decisions about where to go to school or what degree to get or what career path they chose, right? Again, it's just pretty funny how that works, okay? I think that in a sane society, people should expect to pay back their loans, right? They shouldn't expect for the government to magically wipe away their loans, right? Especially you're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to school, okay? Which is supposed to be an investment. For a lot of people, it's a bad investment. Instead of being honest about the system, no, people just want to get freebies and handouts while not talking about why the problem exists in the first place. The problem exists in the first place because we currently have a bad system, right? We have a bad system. So without further ado, I want to react to some of the pro-blacks and guests on Roland Martin, boohoo, whine, and cry about people having to fulfill their responsibilities.
I think the real issue is that this is happening all while this administration is doing a lot of other things that are hurtful, that are causing chaos for student borrowers. So it's really creating a perfect storm of all of these things kind of coming to a head at the same time. And this is really the last thing the borrowers need when there's already a lot of chaos, a lot of unanswered questions about what they should be doing, how they should be repaying their loans. I think this is the other thing to really take note is, people want to make payments on their loans. They want the payment to be manageable, but they want to make payments, but they don't know how. Like the process just isn't clear for people to start
going down that path of finding like the right repayment plan for themselves and really starting to make those payments. So the idea that, you know, this administration is trying to bring clarity in this moment, if anything, there's a lot of chaos and confusion in this moment.
And listen to this woman. Do these people listen to themselves?
I'm up here looking at this white 5.0, ladies and gentlemen, this Mustang. Let me show y'all this joint, man. Motherfucker got my eye like a motherfucker. Convertible. 5.0 GT. I'm gonna upgrade on y'all. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna upgrade on y'all. This joint nice here, man. I'm gonna call him tomorrow. I used to work up here at Murphy Ford. It's up at Murphy Ford. I used to work up here a few years back. I'm gonna come holler at Murph and see what he can give me a deal on this joint, man. It's a 2020. It's a 2020 convertible, automatic. This motherfucker, I ain't. Man. Man, this motherfucker nice. Yeah, I like that, y'all. I like that. Hold on, y'all. They got other vehicles too, like this Bronco right next to it. Anybody in the neighborhood, they loaded. They most definitely loaded. If anybody in the neighborhood looking for trucks, they got trucks and everything. I mean, business as usual, y'all. Them tariffs ain't stopping shit. That shit in y'all mind. Yeah, that shit in y'all mind at this point. Fuck all that. Cause y'all caught up in all them loans and credit card debt and all that old fuck shit. Y'all can't bust moves. Y'all should have been holding out while that Biden administration was in there for them 4 years. Y'all should have just been holding out. You know what I mean? Facts.
I want you guys to understand what she just said. And this is the reason why I'm reacting to this particular video, right? Because it really shows you a lot about the value of a degree. She's saying, well, this is a big problem because people are so stupid, despite the fact that they got these fancy degrees, right? But people are so stupid that they can't figure out how to pay their student loans. They can't figure out how to use the website, right? They can't figure out how to pull up their accounts and to click pay and to set up a payment plan, which all these things are available online. So again, I want you guys to understand these people are defending a system that is so bad that the people who went out and got these degrees pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for these degrees. Apparently what they learned in school was not enough to teach them how to do something as basic as to pay the loan back.
Right.
Okay? That's what I want you guys to understand. How,
like if I call and to buy that car, I would have to go, if I had the cash, the bread, I can buy flat out. But if not, going through a lot, I have to get a loan to get the car. Y'all got to pay the loan back, y'all. You got to pay the loan back. What you mean? You want the college to be stupid?
How crazy this, how silly this sounds, right? And again, it says so much about our system, how bad it is. These people are saying this is a problem because people are so dumb. They're so not equipped for the real world that they can't figure out how to pay their student loans. It's too confusing for degree holders, right? For people that pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for a degree, it's too confusing to use a website. What does that say about the degree? What does that say about the value of the education? It's extremely overvalued. Extremely overvalued. It's a bad investment. So why support a system like this?
Right.
Why not talk about the real problem, which is that this system is not working?
This is who runs the DMV in Pennsylvania, and they don't want you to know about this.
In other news,
that this system is bloated, that we're spending a lot of money in college on things that have nothing to do with helping people gain skills for gainful employment. That's the honest to God truth. A vast majority of the things that kids learn in school can literally be learned online.
Facts.
Right? Let's be real. You can go watch some YouTube videos and learn more than what you learn in school in regards to real skills.
Real talk.
This is obsolete.
Real talk.
It's not, it doesn't work. But nobody wants to admit that. Nobody wants to tell the truth. Everybody wants to continue to support a failing system. And nobody wants to put forth ideas and say, hey, you know what? We need to rework this.
The lie. They defending the lie.
Ways of people getting.
Told y'all that was one of the biggest scams besides the lottery. It's going back to school. Everything you can get online, yeah. On YouTube. Google that shit.
Get good paying jobs. There's better ways to do this.
And they're not going to give them any relief. They're going to be, hard asses on this. I mean, folks just might as well get used to it.
Yeah, I think that's right. I don't think that we will necessarily, see a lot of leniency or the administration, potentially trying to find ways to make repayment easier. I think in previous administrations, people understood that these financial consequences of default are very real for students and borrowers and their families at a time when we're seeing, cost of living go up, housing, childcare, all these different costs that are really stretching families thin. So that is why there was really this attempt to make repayment easier on families and trying to create repayment plans that were more affordable, that could provide relief. That is not what we're unfortunately seeing right now out of this administration.
Now, look, here's the thing. What you are saying is that this administration is taking excess money out of the economy, right? See, here's the thing. Liberals will pretend as if they have solutions to inflation, right? That they know how to bring down inflation, which they don't. Because if they did, then, we would not have had what we had under Joe Biden. But President Trump actually is bringing down inflation, and he's making the hard decisions that you got to make in order to bring down inflation, because inflation really is happening because of excessive money printing, okay? Quantitative easing from the Fed. And the fact is that consumer demand is out of control. There's too much money flowing around in the economy. That's just the honest to God truth. So when you talk about the student loan repayment, this is actually a genius idea from the Trump administration, because this sucks more money out of the economy. It slows down consumer spending, which what needs to happen in order to get inflation under control. You have to slow down consumer spending. And it was a really bad idea for Joe Biden to continue to extend the pause in payments for student loans while inflation was out of control, right? It was a really bad policy decision. And stuff like this is overlooked when people talk about inflation. This right here is going to have more of an impact on inflation than tariffs, but you're never going to know that from the media, right? You're not going to know that from the media. If you listen to the media talk, they'll massive inflation is coming from the tariffs, which, hey, who knows? May or may not happen. But I can tell you that this right here is probably going to have more of an impact on inflation actually going down than tariffs making inflation go up, to be honest with you. Okay, that's just my guess. That's just my guess, because again, this actually is going to slow down consumer spending, okay? And that is going to bring down inflation. I also love how these people act like student loans are like a special type of loan, where it's like, well, when it comes to your mortgage loan, you don't get all of these second and third and fourth chances. You don't get to just default and live in your house, right? That's not how it works, right? With any other loan, the person who gave you the loan, they're going to come looking for it. When it's time to collect, they're going to come collect on the interest and everything. Okay, so why should you expect any different from the government? Why should you expect any different? I love how these people treat student loans like special type of loans where you just shouldn't have to pay those, right? Those loans, just don't pay that. Okay, just forget about it, right? You're entitled to that $250,000 that you took from the government, right? You're entitled to it because you're a strong black woman, right? That your country owes you, right? That is how these people think. This is how they think. Okay, but what they don't understand is that type of attitude, that type of mentality, when people do that, when they refuse to pay back their student loans, you're stealing. You're stealing from taxpayers because it was a loan. It was given to you as a loan. It's not a grant. It's not a scholarship, right? It's not a stipend. Okay, it's a loan. You agreed to it. You signed the bottom line. So ultimately, at the end of the day, you got to pay it back. You got to pay it back. And, you know, it's one of those things where it's just crazy how the Democrat Party, they literally thrive off of telling people that the government is going to relieve you of all responsibility and accountability. Don't worry about your bad decisions. The government is going to make it better. Okay. And we're going to punish people who do the right thing, who are responsible, who are accountable. We're going to punish them and reward people who are not. Every single Democrat policy that they have basically comes down to that. Right. Again, that's what it comes down to. Let's punish the people who made good decisions and reward the people that made bad decisions. This is why they love the free stuff, right? This is why they love it. They absolutely love it. It appeals to the lowest of the IQ. It appeals